It's Monday. This is our weekly tarot. Hi, you guys. So YouTube is live and so is Instagram. And this is our weekly tarot reading along with our new moon ritual because our new moon will happen on the 1st. So we always have our ritual the closest Monday to it. So we're in all the goods. For Instagram, wait, we're not live yet. Hang on. Hold on. Let's do this a little bit again. Okay. So here we go. Now we're live on Instagram and YouTube. As you all enter the room, say hi, little emojis in. It is our weekly tarot, hi Paula, along with our new moon ritual. So today we'll go long in our offering, but you can hop in and out at any point. Instagram, you all will cut off at an hour, and then I may just restart it again. That seemed to work. So we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, then we have a lot of ground to cover for today. It's summer at my house, summer in the Northern Hemisphere, and that adjusts everyone's schedule. And I feel like it throws all of us a little bit off in the rituals and in the cycle of things because it definitely changes our schedule. So as you all enter the room, say hi. Hi, Chris. And just know that we have, again, a lot of ground to cover today, but we will end, hi, Talita, at 12:30 on YouTube. Okay, so we will, hi Jill, we will cover as much as we possibly can in that period of time. Instagram will give us an hour, and then hopefully I'll just reach around and restart it again. But if you miss the end portion of things, you can go back to the YouTube channel and watch it anytime, which I'll do, which is awesome. Okay, hi Cynthia. So let's do basics. I feel like a little bit like speed reader today so that we get into the goods of everything. There are 3 more days for those who are not currently members of UnicornWellness.Studio, those who have never been members of UnicornWellness.Studio, for you all to sign up and use the code MOREMAGIC at checkout. That will give you 30 days free on the site, plus a free Pilates Magic Circle. Get it? More magic. So this is a $57 value totally for free. Why? Because I like to give stuff away. Why? Because I like getting stuff. So it's fun. I'm willing to invest in your practice and invest in you. But there's only 3 more days to use that code. And it won't happen again for a while because it's a pretty big gift, right? If you all have been members of the site prior and you've been getting the emails to come back, I want you to come back 2 times a year. July, hi Callie, July and January, I offered those who have been members of the site before and have canceled the opportunity to come back for free. I only do this twice a year. Why? Because y'all have been members. You've been paying members. You know what I offer. You know what the workouts are like. And I do want you back, but I also think it's fair. It's like, you know what you get. You can come sign up. But twice a year, I say you can do it for free again. Again, because you all have invested in me and in Unicorn Wellness at one point, and I'm willing to invest in you to get you back into your wellness practice, to get you back on the mat, to feeling supported and cultivating and brewing more magic in your life. So know that you only have 3 more days to use that as well. And that for the rest of the year, until the new year, you're not eligible to use a promo code on the site. Does that make sense? I haven't had a lot of questions, and most of you guys understand and you use your codes and you're like, I'm good. But it's special for those coming back because there's only twice a year that you can come back for free if you've been a paying member before. If and when you try to use a code, you'll get a nice little note from our accounts manager that says, we're sorry, you've been a paying subscribing member, you're not eligible for these codes. So in these 3 days, it's really like prime time to hop back on the mat for free, again, to feel supported. Summer can get very wonky with our schedules for all the reasons. We like to play outside a little bit more. For those of us with kids, the school schedule kind of capsizes, or camp schedule really adjusts things, and travel. So this is the time to get serious about your radical care and self-care and go, no, I'm not taking all of these excuses as a reason to not take care of myself and my soul and my body. And on top of it, Tandy's going to let us do it for free. So hop on it. Okay. What else? Hi, Melinda. I see you guys on YouTube. I'm so glad you're here. What else? Okay. So August, we're creeping on August, right? I take the month off, and that is so in quotations because we're not traveling. Totally. I'm going to take some time though. My private schedule is closed in August, meaning that you can't book any one-on-ones, no tarot readings, no alignment session, no deep dive into thrives, nada. But you can still book for September. So if you get into like mid-month and you're like, eee, you can claim your spot for September now. So I'm just saying that. Those of you who are already in my schedule, you're fine. I'm not moving you anywhere. But this is the time to anchor into the monthly, the new, and the full moon readings on the site. And Mondays will still remain the same for our weekly tarot and for the moon rituals. So all that's good, right? Okay, what else? What time is it? Ooh, I'm on track. I love being on time. Okay. New moon. Our new moon happens on August 1st. That's Thursday, right, you guys? And the new moon is special. There's this month. So August is special all around, right? We've just had our eclipses. So all these powerful portal energies, these powerful energies that are asking us to change, asking us to release, asking us to step forward into the new, asking us to make decisions and to be bold and to be brave. And I do feel that the eclipses really ask us to let go of shit. Like, how willing are you for solutions in your life, right? It always comes back to physical practice as a personal trainer. It's like, I can get your results, but what are you willing to be wrong about? What are you willing to do differently? What are you willing to listen about, right? Same thing applies to life. So our eclipse season is really, kind of closed off. We will see it again in January, but it really pushed and triggered things, right? So Gemini season asked us to ask the question, especially of unicorns, and we're still working on answering this question of what is it in our lives that we have plenty of information about that needs to be transitioned into wisdom. Now, how do you get to wisdom? You have information, you've done research, you have knowledge, okay, like we've got info. Then you need to make a decision and put the information into play, into action, in order to have an experience with it. And then the experience plus the information synthesizes into wisdom. So, that's kind of life in a nutshell, is to have information and experience and then generate wisdom. But we were being pushed to ask that question, and I'm still working on answering your 3-card readings, right? Through the end of this week, of what is it that needs to be transitioned. And so this is huge in our personal capacity to transform, to achieve, to manifest, and to heal. So it's not always about stuff, right, on the outside. It's about the stuff on the inside. So we've gone through the question of information into wisdom, right? And then we move into the eclipses of being pushed and triggered emotionally with the opportunity of cleansing from Cancer energy, right? And then we get pushed and triggered by Capricorn with what do we want to achieve and what do we want to get done energy. On top of that, we've talked a lot about the Capricorn and Cancer pressure cooker. Everything just feels like it's getting hard and it's being asked to be solved and like, oh my God, because it's trying to create diamonds out of us from an energetic level. So the pressure has definitely been there. It's still there, but in the last week, it has lightened a bit. Okay. So I think this is a beautiful time as we wean into the new moon to take a breath and go, right? I'm going to step out on a limb here, that energetically, most of the pressure, it has happened. Okay. But the diamond ain't ready yet. Okay. So eclipses again set the tone for the next 6 months. This week is a new moon, right? And it's a time of planting intentions, making wishes, setting goals, and looking at what we really want to achieve. That's what new moon time is. So this is the first new moon off of eclipse season. I'm just going to say it's an important one. They're all powerful. They're all useful. And yes, the new moon with the eclipse was like big, powerful. But this one's important because we can, in eclipse season, go, oh, this is really important. This is big. It's a birthday, kind of thing. And we can set our intentions. And then it's like, oh, the hoopla of eclipse season is done. And then kind of wash over the next cycles. Wasted opportunity. okay? So again, new moons are dark of the moon. It's the quiet stage of it. It's totally black. The sun and the moon, they snuggle side by side. There's no reflection. This is offering us kind of the black wholeness of life, right? Where there's nothing and everything all at once. But it's about trust and surrender and meditation and taking time away from people, not being as social, not being as out there, meditating extra or meditating at all if you never do before. It's a time that we can really receive information and insight. And so because this new moon is off of these eclipses, it's not, I feel like the seed has been planted, right, in eclipse season. So not the last moon. The last lunation was a full moon. The lunation before that. So whatever you kind of planted at the new moon eclipse, this new moon this week on August 1st, I feel like it's like pushing the seed a little bit deeper. I don't think it needs to be a new seed, but I think you need to go back to what you wrote or what you thought about or what you set intentions on and go, what else do I hear about it? How can I get it to come to fruition? What kind of ways can I solve it now that it's literally been a month since the last new moon? That it literally, I think, pushes the seed a little bit deeper to allow it to get deeper roots. Because if a plant's going to grow, right, it can only grow as big and tall as the roots are deep and long. So when it comes to personal manifestations and personal healing, it's always an inside job. It's the unseen things. And we have been laying these roots for the last year and a half, if not more. And we really are approaching, the closer we get to 2020, we're approaching like, hey, maybe we do have a sprout, but it's not the big tree that we intend it to be yet, you know? Maybe it's a hibiscus and we're waiting on the blooms. Like, so this is really where the goods are at in this new moon. So it's always a new moon, once a month, right? A time to plant intentions, to plant seeds, to make wishes, and to set goals. This new moon, I don't think it's different than last month. I think you need to revisit what you said you wanted last month and push it deeper down so that it grows stronger and has better roots, okay? So then we're in August, right? Something special happens this August. We have 2 new moons in August. So for those of you who are members at UnicornWellness.Studio, get ready, because it's going to get a little, not confusing, but a little like, what? In your readings. You will have a new moon reading, right, already at the first of the month. Then you will have your monthly reading for August. Then once the full moon rolls around, you will get your full moon reading. And then 2 weeks after that, you get another new moon reading this month. So it's a magical month for beginnings, for growth, for manifestation, and for intention setting, simply because there are 2 full moons in 1 month. That only happens every 29 months. So like every 2.5 years this happens. So witches, get your brew out, like get ready to set intentions and set some spells, because this is extra powerful. The one that will be the most powerful new moon will be at the end of the month. And I can't remember if I think it's on the 30th here in the Northern Hemisphere. So that one is called the Black Moon. And so there's so many layers of connotation I won't get into today. But if you're into Black Moon Lilith, I think there's going to be a beautiful connection between these things with the shadow self, because the dark moon, the new moon, the black moon really allows us to go to integrate these shadow sides for empowerment, okay? So August carries so much energy with it, all right? So August is also Leo season. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so I'm Leo rising. So any of us with Leo sun, rising, or moon, we kind of extra love this season, right? Because it's in our chart. It's in the foundation of our soul to be accustomed and to like this energy. Leo has wonderful qualities, right? Leo wants to party. Leo wants to have fun. Leo wants to be seen. Leos are by nature and by wiring the teachers and the performers, not out of ego, because they're wired to be comfortable in front of people, and not everyone is, right? We need teachers and performers in order to inspire and to guide. So if this is in your calling, there's also a calling in August to step farther forward, to be out front, to be louder, to teach more, but to balance it with fun, because in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the summer, and it really is playtime. It's sunny and it's summer, and you're like, it's so hot, I just can't even think about doing anything. Meanwhile, this energy has all the love. Leo is the biggest heart of the zodiac. Okay, so it really does have the opportunity for us to grow, to step into empowerment out of love, out of genuine heart-centered intention, in bigger ways, to be seen and to be more visible. Okay, the alternate side of Leo, which we have to discuss because I'd always try to be fair. Every sign has its balance and its imbalance. Okay, and the goal is to work on these things, right? The imbalance of Leo is that we can get a little egocentric. We can get so loud that we forget that anybody else is in the room. We can get so focused and interested in empowerment and invisibility that we suck up all the light in the room. We forget that anybody else is with us, right? So Leo's got its downfall. Leo is also very... Okay, Charlotte, here's the thing. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. She just made a really good point on YouTube. Leo's they're all interesting energies, right? They all are, every single sign in the zodiac. And we all have every single sign in the zodiac in our chart. When we say the Leo season or Gemini season, I'm really speaking to those that have these signs in their sun, their rising, or their moon placement, because it's one of the primary pieces of foundation for our soul and for our personality in this lifetime. So it hits us bigger, and we're more comfy with it, and it gets a little bit more exaggerated. Leos are also highly protective, especially of their family. And Leos are excellent at setting boundaries. So if you really just think about the tendencies of a lion, is that, like, this is my territory, that's the line. And we have an agreement with all of the animals in the jungle that that's where the boundary is. And if you get so bold to cross that boundary, the lion's going to eat you. That's it. So Leo has fierce energy about it, very protective, and can really snap and get, it's fire. But it's always heart-centric, right? The reason lions act in that way is they're protecting their cubs. They're protecting their pride. They're protecting their family and their community. So just be on the lookout for those things. And if you don't know, where Leo sits in your chart, this is the prime opportunity to look at it, because it's going to tell you on another level and another layer of where you're protected, or flag here, unicorn flag, where you need to set boundaries better. Okay, because Leo is, they're kitty cats, and they like to be petted, and they like to roll around, and they wrestle and they play, but then they're very proud and very strong. Okay, so this is where the balance is being asked for in Leo season. It's really fun, but don't let it get away from you. So the thing to side eye in Leo season is that we're not just partying and spending money and everything's amazing, that it's all so fun and for the greater, because I'm going to be seen and I'm going to go teach. It's like, you got to still have a reality check in it. Okay. I wanted to look at the comments here real fast. Yeah, Black Moon Lilith, you have to pull it on your chart in particular. If you've done a Simple Stars reading with me, I do not pull Black Moon Lilith. Okay. That's one of those. I own other spaces in your wellness, and we touch on them in a general perspective here. Christina Wengeyer, she's a member on the site. She's a unicorn. She does a lot of beautiful work. She's an astrologist. And with the goddesses, Black Moon Lilith, and the other goddess placements. So when you pull your chart, you have to go and toggle like the settings in order to show you Black Moon Lilith and where it sits in your chart. I think from me, you'll be hearing more about her in the year to come. I tend to focus on the basics because I want you all to have a real ownership of your own spirit, your own soul, and the balance of the soul and the physical and the 3D in this lifetime. I also really love Chiron because he's the wounded healer. Lilith is like the next layer on the cake that I may be bringing to you more often in these discussions in the next year. But until then, you can go do some Googling and go check out Christina Wengeyer. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right, because that's maybe my downfall. She's going to be in your newsletter as one to watch, one to follow. I love her work. She has the most soothing voice on the planet, and she goes deeper into each aspects, that I don't. do for you all because I'm handling the wellness aspects of things. But I think if Lilith is of interest to you and the goddesses in your chart, like go follow her. She has, I don't get anything from this. I just love her. So, and she's a unicorn, but she'll be one to follow in the newsletter that comes out on Thursday. Okay. So that's that. What Charlotte said in the YouTube group. Okay. So hi, Lindsay. Charlotte mentioned that she's Leo rising, but shy. Okay. Here's what people don't know about Leos. So I always say I'm Leo rising. I am. I don't just say that. I am. This is our true heart-centered path as a teacher, as a performer, wanting to be seen, being comfortable in front of people. What people don't realize about Leos is that we are actually very shy. And you go, that's bullshit. It's not. It's really weird. But it took me time to understand and own this as well, is that Leos need to have a role. We need to know what we're teaching or what role we're playing and how it serves the community and the greater purpose. Once we understand our role and become empowered in it, and we own the information and the understanding that we play an important role in things, we have something to offer, then we can step out really fierce. But until then, we also need an entourage, a pride, a family to back us up so that we can feel more empowered, so we can stay connected to the heart-centered aspect of things. So this is kind of where the weird Leo, duality comes into, is that Leo is by nature internally very shy, and often our work is to find confidence and to be empowered, right? It's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, like the lion, right? We have to find the courage to be our true selves, loud and proud. And so it often either takes people behind us, again, our pride, our entourage, our family, our community, pushing us forward and reflecting what it is our goal and our purpose is, or we got to get real clear about what our personal goal and purpose is and override the fear and be fearless in stepping into our empowerment. So often Leo's sun, rising, or moon, we fear our own power. It's like a very particular thing of like, we think it's going to implode or it's going to be too much, or people will call us egocentric when we're really just stepping into our true path and purpose. And our path and purpose can sometimes and often is very big because we're here to be voices for things. So I hope that helps in the understanding, because Charlotte, that's very astute and really important to say that she's Leo rising but shy. And it's a truth for a lot of Leos, sun, moon, or rising. And then it's conflicting, and then we're confused, and then we don't want to be egocentric, so we end up being quiet. Meanwhile, that does not put us on our soul path. Our soul path is to be loud and out front and to teach and to be seen, but it has to be heart-centric. Okay? That was a great note about Leo. Okay, so we went through the new moon basics. We are talking about Leo season because that's where we're at. Yeah, so Charlotte say that it's just really true. And I think I really do. I think most Leos, all right, Talita, thank you for joining us. I think most Leos have this experience that it is our greatest fear to be seen and heard, but it's also the most important lesson for us to step out front, and people really appreciate it. But meanwhile, we have this weird internal conflict about it's going to be seen as egocentric when really it's the last thing we're really genuinely trying to help, or we're speaking from the heart. And so there's nothing wrong with speaking from the heart, It's a thing. And fear in general is a thing, but it's a bigger thing for prominent Leo placements. So it's just part of it, right? It's just part of the learning and what we're here to learn and soothe and learn to surf and not be capsized by. Okay, so this new moon sits at 8 degrees of Leo. So our first new moon of the month, I'm going to say this and then stab myself in the foot, is typically in the season and the sign that it's in, right? So this new moon on Thursday is at 8 degrees of Leo. Unicorns know from your newsletter that anything that sits at 0 to about 14 degrees of a sign, because we go from 0 to 29 degrees, is really asking us to learn and be students. From 0 to 14 degrees of a sign, it kind of says, you don't know shit about this sign. You're here to learn. from 15 to 29 says you've got some mastery. And the closer you get to 29, 29 would be mastery of these energies. The more empowerment you have and the more mastery you have of it. So Thursday's new moon sits at 8 degrees of Leo. It's a fun moon. It's sweeter. I think last week, if you all watched the weekly tarot, I said there was going to be some ease and some sweetness to this last week. And there was. The energy is different. It's shifting. And because we got Leo season at play here, right? It's really important in Leo season to remember to play and to have fun. And I think that even counts for your intention setting. That we have serious goals and things that we want to manifest and see happen in our life, but we need to be really fair and equally serious about enjoying the process, because nothing capsizes manifestation faster than fear and trying to push it and will it into something and make it happen. So you have to find a way to play through your goals and manifestations, in particular in this month, and in particular in pushing that seed further of your intention setting from this past cycle. Okay? Does that make sense, you guys? I stopped to ask because sometimes when things come out of my mouth, I go, was that confusing or was that clear? So I want there to be clarity. This new moon at 8 degrees of Leo is very much another karmic rebirth. It's a phoenix moment. And in my mind, a unicorn moment, right? Because being a unicorn means that we are striving for the highest expression of our soul in this lifetime. Being a unicorn means we're willing to heal, that we are constantly and continually attached and living with infinite hope and infinite potential and possibility. So it could sound like unicorns are naive, but they're not. They're mortal. They got to eat, sleep, find shelter, water, hide out to protect themselves because they're being hunted for their horns, right? But this is an opportunity to go, don't forget to be hopeful. Don't forget to leave the window open for the miracles. Don't forget to allow the manifestations to actually happen and have some fun along the way. Because we can, as humans, get way too serious about what we're trying to manifest. And then we get so structured, this is where the Capricorn energy comes in. We get so structured and so dry about what we're going to achieve that we haven't enjoyed the path up the mountain. We trampled on the flower on the way up. We forgot our water. We're totally dehydrated. So there's all of these pieces that are really literally falling into place in this new moon. So we're being called to be clear about pushing the seed of intention deeper for deeper, stronger roots. Yes, it may take more time to come up and sprout. That's okay. We need to have trust and surrender in the time it takes for our manifestations to come to fruition. And we have to remember to be joyful and to play within that process. Okay, work hard, play hard, right? So the work hard, play hard is really a Taurus, but it's a very Leo thing too, right? Very much so. So this new moon says, yeah, set those intentions, set some clear ass boundaries, be strong, be confident, find the pride in the work, be deep about the love and the heart-centered endeavors that you have, and don't let anybody talk you out of them. Meanwhile, don't get too serious. Stop to play, stop to refresh, stop to rest, and then go back at it again. Right, Brianna? Yeah, I love it because Leo season is like so fierce. Nobody celebrates their season like Leos and Tauruses. I have them both in my chart, right? Because Leo season comes around, we're all like, we ready, like, oh God, we've been waiting, So the cleansing and the triggering and the emotional, like, of Cancer season, like, shake it off, right? Go get your hair did, go get your nails did, and step out, right? So it's a fun one. Okay, so this new moon is a beautiful moon. I think there's a sweetness to it. That's what I feel in it. We're coming off of eclipse, so man, like anything's going to be sweet coming off those eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn. The pressure cooker is still at play, but it's a little less so. Yay for Team Taurus, right? Well, it is just really funny because nobody celebrates themselves like Taurus and Leo. So there you go. But we all need to celebrate ourselves, right? So it's a good one. Your newsletter for unicorns will come out on Thursday. It comes out with the new moon. So today we're touching on all these pieces, right? But I'll go more in depth with the energy of this new moon and share with you the inside the degrees for 8 degrees of Leo in the newsletter. If you are not members of UnicornWellness.Studio, but you still want my newsletter, and I call it a monthly magazine because it's like thick. It's a little long, but it's not there to exhaust you. It's there to like support you and to replenish you and to give you all kinds of things to work with for the whole month. So go back to read it again. If you're not a member and you want the newsletter, you can do that in a couple ways. How can you do that? On Instagram, go to my profile, click the little link tree. It's in the link tree. You can just sign straight up there. If you go to UnicornWellness.Studio to the site, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a little drop your address, get the newsletter. Simple as that, okay? But more in-depth details of this new moon are coming on Thursday in the monthly magazine, in the newsletter. And in that newsletter, we will have our recommended essential oils for this 4-week cycle to keep us balanced and to harness this energy. We'll have our recommended crystal for the month that if you want to use it to meditate with, you're welcome to. If you just want to carry it in your pocket, stash it in your bra, that's what it's for, is to add to the energies of the month. We'll also have a highlighted aromatherapy essential oil for this cycle. So there's so much in it. Like we'll talk deeper about the moon, what that means for our wellness. And by wellness, I include all of it, mind, body, and soul. We've got to be, careful and thoughtful about what we're thinking and how we're talking. We need to know how we feel about things. And then we've got to take care of this physical vessel, because if we don't have much in this 3D incarnation of a life. Okay. So the newsletter will go into more of that. What time is it? We got time. I love this. I love this when we're on time. Okay. So we've been skipping Unicorn Bingo for the last few weeks because we've had so much content to share with the moons and the weekly tarot. But today we got some time. So let's go through Unicorn Bingo. And what is Unicorn Bingo? Unicorn Bingo is, yay! I know, everybody's like, yeah, finally. Unicorn Bingo is when you look at your astrological natal chart. I work from a whole house sign chart. Okay, so it's very like a purist version of, there's no weird cusps in the middle of a sign. It's pure 0 to 29 degrees of each aspect of the zodiac. So if you have had your Simple Stars reading with me, you pull out that chart. I give you a copy to keep for forever. If you're pulling your own chart, just make sure it's a whole house sign chart. It does make a tiny bit of a difference, and that way we're speaking the same language. There's directions in your Unicorn Wellness monthly magazine on how to pull your own chart. And in your astrological natal chart, you're going to look for where Leo is in your chart. End of story. So where this lunation is, where this new moon sits, you want to find where Leo is in your chart. So there are 12 houses, okay, 1 through 12. And you'll just see where Leo is, and at the center of that little pie piece, you'll look for the number. That's what house Leo sits in for you. So I'm a Leo rising, okay? So rising signs in a whole house sign chart always sit in the first house. Because the first house is the house of identity. Who am I? How do I deal with myself? Okay, so let's just start with the first house, all right? So look at your chart. If you're like, I didn't bring my chart because you haven't done it for 2 weeks, then just take notes and you can go back and look at it. So the YouTube video of this new moon ritual, it'll be on the site, on my channel in perpetuity. So you can go back as many times as you want to take notes and to really look at your chart. So find where Leo sits in your chart, okay? Just because you're a Leo sun or moon doesn't mean you know which house it sits in. The only one that we know in a whole house sign chart is that if you're Leo rising, that sits in the first house. Okay, so look at where Leo sits in your chart and what house it is. And then we'll start to go through the houses. Here we go. So if you need note-taking materials, grab it now. Again, the first house is the house of identity. Who am I? And the question that I like when we're dealing with our soul is, how do I deal with myself? Because it tells us some inherent wiring of how our self-talk goes. right? And so if you have Leo in the first house, this is going to be identity season because how you see yourself is eventually, it's how the world sees you, really, because that's the vibe that you're putting out. So this new moon in Leo, with its rebirth, with its catharsis and its phoenix aspect off of these new moons, those of us with Leo in the first house have to get real brave about stepping out. Like, how do we really want people to see us? What do we really want? How do we want to serve? How do we want to help? How do we want to protect? How can we be louder in that without capsizing into ego? If that makes sense. Okay. So this is really where some of the beautiful work of knowing where this lunation is. So it's a new moon. It plants new seeds of intention. So we're going to be getting new aspects of ourself, and our identity is going to, I feel like it's like an onion. Like I've talked about this as the process of your physical body on the mat, is that we peel outside layers, right? Only to reveal what's already there. And so in this new moon in Leo, if it's about identity, we're just peeling another layer off. And it kind of depends on how many layers we've peeled before. Like, are we at like the bulb at the inside? I think because this is a Phoenix moment off of the eclipses, a lot of us are. So like to really get in there with our identity and who we are, okay? And then that allows us to go deeper with how do we deal with ourselves. So Leo can be really fierce, right? Fucking lion. It's going to snatch people up and kill them if they get into their territory. Like, let's be clear. They're not pets, right? Like we are nobody's pet. And there's this very regal air to it. And that regality can turn on ourselves as being highly judgmental in a self-deprecating way, because we set the bar so high, and then we start to put these weird boundaries on ourselves that don't allow us to grow, that don't allow us to forgive ourselves, don't allow us to be human and make mistakes, right? So I also think that if you have Leo in the first house, there's a lot to be said about learning how to make mistakes. And hey, this was also a topic last month of, you gotta learn how to disappoint some people gracefully, not intentionally, but just know that like you're not going to be perfect, and some things slide off the plate when there's a lot going on. And some things just didn't get priority. And it wasn't meant to be mean or spiteful or hateful. It's just the way it went. So the theme is still at play. And I think it's very particularly at play for those with Leo in the first house. Okay? Check in the comments. The rising sign on your whole house sign chart, it says AC. It's the ascendant. It's what was rising and coming over the horizon the moment you took your first breath on this planet. So your rising sign is your true heart-centered self, because this is what's coming over the horizon. So in your whole house sign chart from me, at the bottom of the chart, it says AC. It's the ascending or the ascendant. That's where it is. Yeah, it's got a weird sign on it. Okay, second house. If you have Leo in the second house, where are we going to have new intentions, new wishes, new things sprouting or being asked to be new? The second house is how you gather your goods. It's a very practical, functional food, water, shelter. When you need something, what do? Now, Leo in the second house is a little tricky because Leo has this regality to it, and this Leos like to be waited on. Okay, they like things done for them. So if you have Leo in the second house, it's really nice to know that, because you're someone who should and could recruit people to help you in a really constructive manner, meaning you need to know when to ask for help and when to pay for help. Like if cleaning your house is your thing, Leo in the second house would say, you pay somebody to clean your house. Because then that makes you feel good. You're like, oh, I can take care of myself in that way. And then you're helping fulfill, like, how do you get things done? Leo in the second house doesn't necessarily mean that you only pay to get stuff done. It means that acts of service is a major love language for you. And so people doing things for you. But in order to balance that out, you may need to genuinely learn how to ask with clarity and without assuming that people are going to do it for you. Because again, the imbalance of Leo is the ego and acting like you're the queen and king of the court all at once. There has to be some learning how to soften that and how to work with people in that. Leo in the second house can also be very dictating because of this regal nature. we will just tell people what to do. Makes us great managers and gives us a lot of leadership qualities that people trust, that are truly heart-centered, that are safe. But just watch out. So if Leo's in the second house, you're going to be asked to either adjust or to deepen, how you gather your goods. How do you get what you need? If you've been pointing the finger at other people and telling other people what to do, it may very well be a time to step up and go, I need to learn how to do that for myself, or to be kind in how I ask, or to express appreciation for those who are doing it for me. Okay, so that's like a practical day-to-day, right? Leo in the third house. Third house is our house of community. How do you connect to the outside world? Okay, so again, Leos can be a little tricky in this way. We can be very shy. We have this regal nature of wanting to sit and protect and be quiet and protect until somebody walks past the boundary, then we eat them. But with Leo in the third house, this could be about teaching, about stepping out front, about facilitating a course of some kind. This can really be stepping into this space. Or if you're already in that space, just checking, am I there enough? Am I fulfilling this? Balance in it. But it is about communicating with others, and being out front. I think Leo in the third house I like it. I think it's a good placement, because Leos like to be out front. They're meant to teach, and they're meant to perform. But again, you just gotta, like, the volume on the ego portion of it. Is me being out front about me and what it's doing for my ego, or is this really about what I can teach and who I can help? And so just refining that's what I just see, refining the volume on it. Leo in the third house is actually really easy, because Leos like to communicate and like to be out front. I could say that they also are shy, and so maybe you've been reserved and been sitting back here and waiting for your entourage or your pride to push you forward, and you're like, nobody's going to do it. Then you're going to have to make the leap and push yourself up front a little bit, okay, if you're not already. Leo in the fourth house. Fourth house is the house of home. It speaks to how we grew up, the home environment that we grew up with. But at a soul level, this is, how does our soul feel safe in the world? So I love the fourth house more and more, because it's such a space of healing, right? If we had not so great homes and upbringings and family, this is definitely a spot of healing, right? For balance and empowerment and for self-love. If we had a great supportive home life, which Leo often denotes, then we actually, I feel pretty safe in the world. Cool. Just know that your soul won't feel safe in the world if you have Leo in the fourth house until you are out front somehow. So again, this goes to teaching or performing. And this is where your soul will be fed, where things can heal if they were a little off. But usually Leo in the fourth house has a supportive upbringing, and a lot of heart behind it. So just know that in order for your soul to feel safe in the world, you're going to need to teach or be out front somehow, being visible. So take that as it resonates with you, with your intuition. Fifth house. Fifth house is the house of creativity. It's a very big and layered house. And so when we do unicorn bingo, I just try to hit the big points of what's coming through. House of creativity denotes how you play, how connected you are to your inner child. Well, lucky you if Leo is in your fifth house, because Leo is the inner child and it is the heart. So that would say there's some ease with some playfulness here, and spirit. So this also has to do with healing, because you have to be willing to go to the dark side in order to heal. All good creative endeavors begin in the dark. And we, explain that with really birth, right? It's going to be in utero in the dark for 9, almost 10 months before it's ready to be seen, right? So Leo in the fifth house easily connects to creativity, plays a lot of joy, but might not like going to the dark side so much. So sometimes Leo is a little pie in the sky, because we're so shiny and sparkly out front that we forget to be really anchored and to go delve in the dark from time to time. So I think if Leo is in your fifth house, that you need to really take stock and go, am I being a little too pie in the sky? A little too motivational or wishful thinking, and where can I get more practical, and where can I look at what I don't want to be doing? Because Leo can be a little lazy too, right? They want to be waited on, or you just wait for somebody to do something for you. And so in this new moon, whatever your intention is, you need to stop and go, what have I been waiting for somebody else to do for me? So it's kind of, and I'm just going to speak this with Leos. Leos often, again, because we're performers and teachers, we want to be discovered, right? We want somebody to see us and to push us forward. Because again, that entourage feeling of like, we actually don't want to push ourselves out front because that feels ego-based. And we want other people's validation because then we go, they need me, they want me, they appreciate me. Okay. And so if you have Leo in the 5th house, if you're sitting around, and I don't mean this in any negative way, and in fact, I've definitely gone through this, waiting for somebody else to put you out there, waiting for the accolades and the appreciation, and then allow it to start things. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to take the risk. You're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to jump out in front and go, I hope somebody likes this, but this is my true heart-centered path. I'm going to lead with my heart, and here I go. Okay. So Leo in that 5th house of creativity can definitely be ease in creative nature and ideas and making, but often may need a push to look at the dark side and will need to really press themselves out front potentially. Okay. So 6th house, trying not to lose track of which house we're on. You guys are quiet. All right, 6th house is the house of love. 6 is the number of love. How do I give? How do I show? How do I help? How do I protect in this lifetime? This is like so straight up. If you have Leo in the 6th house, this is about teaching or about performing. This is how you show up. This is how you give love. This is usually your path. Okay, so just make sure that that is being worked on. And again, do the self-check. There's a lot of repetition here with Leo of what I'm teaching and what I'm performing and what I'm putting out there. Has it become ego-based? Has it become self-centric? Or, although self-centric I like as a constructive term, has it become self-centered? You know, or is it still focused on how can I help? How is it useful? What does it do for other people? There is a little marketing bit. Seth, what's his name? I'm going to butcher the whole damn thing. That, asks you as a teacher performer, if you stopped, it's really for businesses. If you stopped doing what you did today, would anybody be upset? Who would care? And then it's not to be weird or snippy. I ask that a lot. And it rewards me. And I go, actually, yeah, there would be people who would be upset and who would really care. Yeah, Leos set the bar really high, really high. And so again, much like Virgo, it can be a stumbling block for us because we're regal and we want things to be big, 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 big. Sometimes we fail simply by not acknowledging the in-between steps or the in-between. So I think like Leo in the 6th house, I hear that you all are being called to ask, if you quit doing what you were doing, who would care? And then if you're not doing anything yet, you're not performing, you're not teaching, you're not out front, if you started doing those things, who would care? And I find it much more constructive than destructive to ask these questions because it just gets it down to basics. Is it useful? Does it solve something? Does it help? Does it protect? And last week, the spirit in which to move through things was beauty. And when that card comes out, it's always about how do I protect it? How do I surround myself with it? How do I make more of it? So Leo in the 6th house has a lot. It's very similar because that's what the 6th house is all about. So you're going to need to kind of dig into that, right? Because maybe you have something that needs to be shared and expressed that just isn't being right now. So you need to go do, okay? 6th house is also like daily things, like how do we do them? So work with those questions. 7th house. 7th house is the house of relationships, okay? If you have Leo in the 7th house with this new moon, look at what transforms and what's being push-pulled in a relationship. When Leo's in the 7th house, so when they're dealing with relationships, Leo's really interesting because Leo's the heart, right? It's so heart-centered. They're very loving. If a Leo loves you, you know it. They're petting, because we're kitty cats, so it's like they're petting. There's affectionate touch. There are presents. Like Leo's effusive, so you will know if a Leo loves you, right? If you have Leo in the 7th house, remember that you express in this way. Make sure that you're showing your affection, okay? But where it can go wrong in relationships is because Leo is that proud, regal nature that likes people to do things for them. This is just the check, like, are you just expecting people to do shit for you because it's you? And it's become very ego based because they're doing it. And you're like, yeah, right on, keep taking it. Where you need to step up and show affection, show appreciation, and really balance it out. Leos are fierce too, right? Very loving, very expressive. But if you have crossed the boundary with them, they are mean. It's fire energy. So it's angry and it's big and it's like, bah. So just, again, look for balance. Know that we can be explosive. Know that we have boundaries, and when people cross them, we need to deal with them. We need to find ways to explain it better, to set the tone better, and then be really okay with they're not listening to those boundaries. I can't be in this relationship anymore. Friendship, business partnership, anything, right? So that's Leo in the 7th house, okay? Leo in the 8th house of death and sex. 8th is the number of empowerment. So I think Leo in the 8th house is highly magical for manifesting, very empowered, and really sets the tone for how well do you clear things out. Leo clears things out really quickly because of this boundary capability. Leos know when their boundaries have been crossed. Even if they don't cognitively know it, we feel it and we go, ugh, no, and we really want to scratch and bite. So there is a high capacity, hi Donna, to manifest with Leo in the 8th house. But this is about the new moon. So I think this just pushes us more into what are we willing to let go? Like the true essence of a new moon, okay, is that if you have Leo in the 8th house, what do you want? What are you willing to let go of in order to get what you want? And what are you willing to do differently? Knowing that as a Leo in the 8th house, you have clear boundaries, and that if you stick to them, where Leo can go wrong, in particular in the 8th house, is we pretend like we don't need those boundaries or we don't want them or that they're too much. And people, this is where it like, you're too much. That's too, you want it exactly the way you want it. You know what Leo's answer is exactly. And Leo Taurus's answer is exactly. So maybe I am too much. Maybe I can never have it that way, but I'm going to keep striving at it until it looks the way that I want because I'm not comfortable with it this way or any other way, right? It's very clear boundaries. So I think that if you have Leo in the 8th house for this new moon on Thursday, that it's like the triple, whammy of Phoenix moment, determining your boundaries, being clear, communicating that with people, clearing things out, getting big about what you're willing to let go of in order to usher in what you want to manifest and what you've planted a seed for. Okay, 9th house. Leo in the 9th house. I'm going to take another sip of water. Okay. Leo, 9th house is the house of how you connect with yourself on the inside. And what is yourself on the inside? It's how you connect to spirit and soul. Okay. So yourself on the inside is your soul and your spirit. And we are not separated from divine creator, from the divine cosmos, and from universal source. We are universal source. So Leo in the 9th house asks us to be really empowered about that connection. If Leo feels regal or royal for any reason, being that they are heart-centered, it's because at best, Leo inherently knows from birth that we are divine source, that we are not separate from the divine cosmos, that we are made of stardust, that we are pure magic just by being here. So Leo in the 9th house asks for you to be louder about your spiritual connection. And I also just kind of float that out there as to however it resonates for you and your intuition. It does not mean you need to go, stomping around and trying to tell people how they need to have a spiritual practice. That is not at all how to go about things. But it is about being proud of what you believe in and what you do and how you connect and how you feel and how you think about things. So Leo in the ninth house can be more about discussing or teaching your personal connection to divine spirit. I mean, big surprise. This is part of what I teach, right? Because Leo can't lie. Had a conversation this morning in its best incarnation because its heart's so big and so genuine. It's like we talk about in my house, it's my super, I can't lie. Like I can't play, I can't pretend. If there's weird energies or weird feelings, you're going to know it. And so I also don't want to hurt people. So until it's like the boundary, right? And then I'm like, now it's hurting myself, so I have to express something, or my kids. So there's real boundary to it, right? Like, do not go after a Leo mama's cubs. Okay. So ninth house is about connecting to spirit. A Leo, in order to deepen that connection, can help teach it. But it's not about convincing. It's not about proselytizing. It's not about, like converting, like none of these like weirdly religious connotations. It's just about sharing true heart-centric self. That for a Leo, it's very empowering. And again, we're performers and we're teachers. So even if we feel like, oh, people don't really need to hear this or see this, actually they do. It's part of our purpose and our DNA. Not everyone is here to be a teacher or to be out front. Okay, but Leos are. So Leo in the eighth house, your connection to divine spirit can be strengthened by communicating it and just sharing it with people. And in this day and age of social media, I feel like it can be so easy breezy of like a little meme, something that speaks to you that you're like, I hope it speaks to somebody else, right? We never know who we're influencing or who we're inspiring or who we're supporting by what we put out into the world. So Leo in the ninth house can be about putting out constructive, positive, spiritual things into the world to help support others. But it's about being vocal and about sharing it. Okay. 10th house. 10th house is the house of empowerment. How do we take our power in this world? What is the legacy that we leave behind? This one's really simple and we'll keep it pretty short. Leo's in the 10th house, here we go as a teacher or performer again, because this is where empowerment comes from, is being out in front and helping others, either as inspiration or as education. So it's a really simple one. I mean, there are other layers in a personal chart, but that's the breakdown. Of course, that's you in the 10th house, Valerie. I love that. Yeah, it's just, that teaching aspect, that being out front, this is where the legacy lies. And empowerment in this world is like how you're communicating, how you're inspiring. Job well done. Put a little gold star in your 10th house. 11th house. 11th house is the other one that I feel like is like, oh, it's so layered, and that it could take a lifetime to break down the 11th house. But at its simplest, it's really our house of networking and friendships. Leo in the 11th house is beautiful. It's beautiful because Leo is like such a good friend. I mean, we're again, very similar to Taurus. There's a lot of loyalty there. There's a lot of pride in your friends and your friends doing well. And that because we want to be supported as an entourage and pushed, we're really good at doing that for other people. And in fact, kind of awful at doing it for ourselves. So if you have Leo in the 11th house, this can often be about multiple friendships in lots of places. If you've got Venus in the 11th house, this like amplifies this, or Jupiter in that placement. It's like, wah, wah, wah. I think Leo in the 11th house can also speak to a certain amount of fame, recognition, or visibility in your life, even if it's like neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like people know who you are, your safe space, your loving space, you're out front. So I don't know that there's so much to do with Leo in the 11th house, except for in this new moon, it may be planting new ways that you're going to be seen and new pieces of visibility and new audiences for you, which could be cool. Friendships, networking, right? It usually just denotes like a lot of networks to work with. Okay. 12th house. 12th house is the house of the unseen. This one, I take the lighter note of it when we go through Unicorn Bingo. It can be pretty deep. the unseen, how we connect to the other side, to astral planes, to the afterlife, to ghosts, that kind of stuff. But what I love in the practical nature is the 12th house is the house of hidden talents. So if you have Leo in the 12th house, hidden talent would be as a performer or a teacher. Because, this is just out front, being out front with your damn self. So I think Leo in the 12th house is really fascinating. And in this new moon, I think it's going to be interesting. Does anybody have Leo in the 12th house who's here in the room today? I ask because, again, I like to get to know the members and those who are present. And that helps me help you all better, too. I think if Leo's in your 12th house, it's like you're a secret powerhouse, right? You have a lot of capacity to manifest and to affect people and to encourage people and to motivate and to teach people that you don't realize. And that when you step into that role, life really starts to unwind and unravel and blossom in beautiful ways. Instagram, you guys are going to click off in about 23 seconds. So for the weekly tarot reading, you can come back to YouTube. I'll try to restart it, but we'll have this tiny little transition through Unicorn Bingo, and we made it through all of Unicorn Bingo. Okay. Thank you, Instagram, for showing up. I'll try to restart it. If not, join me on YouTube or watch it later. Okay. Good, you guys. Okay. So YouTube, here we go. Nobody has got Leo in the 12th house in here. Interesting. But there's all your 12 houses. So anytime we do Unicorn Bingo, you see where it sits in your chart, where the moon sits in your chart. It offers us the opportunity to see where our lessons or our blessings will be in this lunation. Okay. So that's what it is. It's kind of like the layer into the layer of like, oh, this is where it sits in my personal chart. Okay, great. What do we got? Oh, weekly tarot. Here we go. So many wonderful things happening this week. Okay, let me see if I can turn Instagram back on. Let's see. Yeah, you guys can pull your own charts too from the how to do it in the newsletter. I do need to breathe. I did. I was like, whew, let's take a breath, and then we'll move into the weekly reading. But let me see if I can get Instagram back on, because that'll be fun. Okay. Hey, Instagram, we're back. Let's see how this works. Yeah, we go through Unicorn Bingo, and these things can really speak to you, and listen to your intuition, right? And then the fun thing to do is like, I really feel like this is where it sits. Go pull your chart. So you can look in the newsletter. There's all of the directions on how to pull your own chart there. And then you can start to get confirmation. And this is really how things started for me when it comes to astrological charts. It gave me so much permission to be me and so much understanding that, hey, this is how I'm wired. Nice. That's why. It just made things smoother and more, I was more empathetic to myself. There was more grace for myself, for sure. So again, why we do Unicorn Bingo and why the only chart in astrology that I really offer is the simple stars, because I do believe that this is another powerful place of healing and transformation and acceptance and empowerment for the fullest expression of our soul in this lifetime. So our astrological natal chart is considered to be the blueprint of our soul for this lifetime. It shows what karma we drag in. It shows where our empowerment will be. And it gives us all these little tidbits of like, oh, if I would just be brave and step into that, okay. Because again, for me at the soul level as a, Leo rising, I want you all feeling fierce and feeling confident and at the highest expression of your soul, which means we need to know like where our gifts are and where the challenges are. And so the astrological, snapshot of our soul is not there to go, I'm hardwired this way, I can't do anything about it. I got a lot of fire, I got a lot of challenges in my chart. Make no mistake about that. But the point is to seeing where the challenges are and understanding how to cultivate balance in them. Because when you train to the imbalance, I say this in every single one of your Simple Stars reading, is that the personal trainer in me loved figuring out the natal chart breakdown. Not to focus on the negative or the weaker aspects, right? But as a physical body, when you train to an imbalance, as a trainer, we know that that strengthens the whole. Same thing applies for your, astrological natal chart. When we point out where that's going to be a little challenging in this placement, that's not going to be easy here. Then we know where the work is. We know how to help it and how to support it and how to uplift it and how not to drag ourselves down, to Katie's point of, putting the standards so high that we could never reach them. Right? So again, looking at the astrological natal chart, I always feel like it's not about going, I'm wired this way, I can't do anything about it, y'all just need to deal with it. It's about saying, I'm wired this way, ooh, that's going to trigger some people and it's not going to be so pretty. How can I take self-responsibility for it in this lifetime and do my very best at it? Smooth it out. Because we do evolve over time. I see you, Pearl. Simple stars too. What do you want in your simple stars too? I feel like simple stars as it is really useful, and that then we apply it every week, that this is kind of your simple stars too, each week to talk about these transitions and unicorn bingo. The reality of the offering is I have new offerings when it's guided and when I feel like it. And I feel like we're still working on a lot of the unicorns getting their original simple stars done and living by it and working with it and using it as a roadmap for healing and support, that we don't need to rush to number 2 just yet. There's a lot. We teach a lot. We're working with a lot as unicorns, right? But I'd love to hear what you want in a Simple Stars 2 reading, because I feel like we cover so much of it here. But I also did mention Black Moon Lilith, and that might be included in the Simple Stars 2, right? So let me know what you guys are looking for in terms of more in those sessions, right? And I'm always here to help facilitate them, okay? Here's a sunflower. Hi, Jennifer Bates. I love that. You just spring up with abundance right there. Okay, let's head into your weekly reading, shall we? What will this week bring us with a new moon? Since we have a little moment of pause, if you guys will click like on this post, this video would be very helpful. If you are ever inspired and willing to share the work that I do, it's really helpful. I can't tell you how much. Again, you never know who's watching, who you're inspiring, who's going to poke around, where you're like, I never thought they would have listened to that. Be within the magic of somebody else's realm, right? You get to be somebody's guardian angel, okay? So if you can click the like button, I'd really appreciate it. I think everybody here is already a subscriber to this page, but if you're not, click the subscribe button. If you really love the lives and you want to click the bell, you can, so that you're alerted when we go live. But it's every Monday. I don't know if you need the bell for that. Okay. All right, here we go. So this week, our weekly tarot reading is going to carry us through a new moon and into a new month. It definitely begins a new 4-week cycle. I have the Wonderland and Tarot deck. I've also got the Soul Space Oracle for the spirit in which to move through things. And I still have Megan Watterson's Divine Feminine Oracle deck. I'm liking it more and more. I said sort of mean things about it last week. I'm not going to do that again. Okay, you guys, here we go. For this week, for the next 7 days, remember that these cards can be looked at as 48 hours at a time throughout the week. So we're doing, Kim, I'm doing the weekly reading first, okay? If we have time, I will do single card pulls. Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay, Kim. I wasn't clear about that. I know everybody's real excited. I'm just really trying to be boundary protective of time limits. So I'm going to do our weekly. And if we have time between the weekly and 12:30 by my clock, then I will do some single card pulls. Okay. I know it's all good. Here we go. All right. Oh, certain cards coming out already. I see you. Okay. Yeah, this week is not. Wow. Okay. It's a big old healing week, I will say that. You all see me shuffle. I shuffle a lot. That's interesting. Okay, spirit in which to move through things. When things are dark, when they're frustrating, when you don't understand, you feel like you've hit energetic blocks, spirit in which to move through them because there's no way out but through. Yep, and that mirrors what the reading just said. And then we've got the Divine Feminine Oracle. This is, ascended masters, goddesses to anchor into this week, to ask for help, right? To try to embody or to mimic in order to get through things at a better pace, in a smoother way, for more depth, for more answers, for more. And there's two stuck together. Y'all see that? I was like, okay. Two, neither of which I'm familiar with. So here we go. Okay. Where we're starting from this week. Okay, this is going to be the theme of the week. This is Three of Swords. Okay, so Three of Swords is, man, it's a beautiful and a little bit of a haunting card. Okay, Three of Swords is about healing. It's usually about grief and mourning. And it never looks pretty, right? At the classic traditional deck, it's literally swords like jammed through a heart and it's bleeding. I love this one in the Alice in Wonderland deck because it's cake. It's like there's been time and effort and it was baked and it's been presented, and then it's like everybody just threw a sword into it. What? So the theme of the week, the energy of the week, and where we're starting from is about healing, and it's healing at the subconscious, at the heart level. So we have a new moon, fresh starts and new beginnings, new intentions. It has the Phoenix energy to it. And I wrap unicorn energy into that. I think unicorns are very fresh start, new beginning, and of all the darkness in the world are willing to shine bright and to offer true and ultimate healing, right? So the energy of this week is going to be Three of Swords. When it comes up, this is about grief and mourning, because the spectrum of healing, if you guys go back to on the YouTube channel, I don't remember which video, but it's, again, like how healing happens, I think is what the title is. And we go through the spectrum of healing, that you have the moment of injury and wounding. You have to go through, feel it to heal it, grief, mourning, and loss, and pain, and sadness, and anger. And then you go through the acceptance and the wisdom and forgiveness. Like there's this whole spectrum of it. But the crazy thing about Three of Swords and grieving and mourning and loss, you guys are like, I'm not feeling sad, mad, glad. It's just about this being cleansed from our subconscious programming. This is what I hear, is that grief, the expectation that things will go south and go wrong because things have been bad in the past, that they will remain bad. That sets a template, and it's always been this way. It will continue to be this way. Okay, witches, unicorns, light workers, seekers, we don't believe that. We know that's not the truth. Magic and manifestation can happen at any time. So the theme of this week, where we begin from, is that our subconscious programming is actually healing. So last month, and we've still got 3 days of the guided meditation, is cleansing. Right? It's about shaking off these karmic issues. There are past life issues that are being released in this eclipse cycle. So we have to keep going at it, right? We have to keep cleansing. We have to keep releasing. And the most important piece to healing, to the fullest expression of your soul in this lifetime, is to be willing for it to be different. So when I have private clients, or when I was training, one-on-ones, the first question I was asked is, can you trust me? Do you trust me? Can you trust me? Right? Can you trust in healing? Can you trust in the universe? Can you surrender and be willing for things to be better, for there to be a miracle, for the breakthrough to happen, for healing to really happen, and to really lay to rest the junk that has happened in the past? And I mean the junk of like past lives, this lifetime, and maybe even clearing so much karma that we reset for the next one, or we don't even have to hop on the wheel for the next one. These are big, big energies. So this week, when we see healing like this and cleansing, and it's raining and all of this, it's a new moon, so it's always a call to meditation. This is the week of your constructive rest on the site for UnicornWellness.Studio. So this week you have all stretch workouts, right? It's not a workout. You have constructive rest. They're all stretches. So this is a week to go slow and to be gentle with yourself because it's a healing week. And the goods of healing week of constructive rest is that it bolsters you for the better, for the stronger. This is what creates muscle mass. This is what heals your body. This is what prevents an injury, is because we take this moment of pause of prevention and self-care and constructive rest. Constructive rest does not mean you don't do anything. It means you go slowly and thoughtfully. You move just enough to honor the body, but you let the work of the last 4 weeks integrate. Yes. So the last 4 weeks, we had 2 eclipses. You need to let it integrate this week. Okay. Then we move to next best steps forward for our highest and greatest good this week. It's the Hierophant. I love this card. I love it. So this is a major arcana card. It's the only one in this reading this week. Yeah. This is major arcana cards deal with our soul lessons, our spirit, our karma. Okay. So the Hierophant is the teacher. In its imbalance and in its warning, it says, be aware and weary of corporations, of religions, of big structures of things. But in its most positive manner, the Hierophant says, a teacher has come into your life. Honor that. Be the student. And in the Cheshire Cat and Alice, his question to her is, who are you? Right? Right? Am I right? And it pokes at her, it's like triggers almost. It's like he asks these weird ass questions. She's like, what the hell? So we have to allow our teachers and we have to allow to be students in order to tiny triggers, right? I don't mean like traumatic. I mean like poking at our discomforts so that we can learn, so that we can have ahas, so that we can have a breakthrough. Breakthrough, I mean, even listen to that word, it's like, it's got to smash into pieces, right? We have the breakdown in order for the breakthrough. But there is something a bit aggressive and uncomfortable about those processes. And sometimes we need somebody to do some tapping on the glass that's already spidered in order to get it to finally bust, We're usually in our own glass houses, right? And sometimes you just need a teacher to just gently tap, and then it's gone. And then you're not trapped anymore, right? So the next step towards your highest and greatest good this week, again, because it's a major arcana card, I definitely hear, the spiritual teacher aspect of it, being your own teacher, connecting to spirit. Meditation is going to be extra powerful this week to really anchor into things, okay? That you have to start looking more at the universe as your teacher, okay? Meaning that the things that have gone wrong, the wounding pieces really are our lessons, and that we need to learn from them. And it's important to learn how to be uncomfortable so that we, one, have more joy in the comfort and more capacity to expand that and more value in that. It's not to stay stagnant. It's not to stay down. It's not to stay in the grief process. It's to move past it. So next best steps forward for our highest and greatest good is really to alchemize the teachings that we've been getting. Oh, there's so many layers to this card. Okay, there's a lot of repetition from the practical to the magical here, okay? Like, this is very much about healing. This is about understanding that a teacher may come into your life. You may already have a teacher in your life. You are becoming your own teacher, but that the universe at its ultimate is the teacher. That's the Laus's piece here. So all of the terrible things that have happened, you need to take stock of them in this week in particular and go, these are the steps to my empowerment, is to make peace to all of the terrible things that have happened. They're terrible because they make us empowered. They have the potential. We are put through challenging things so that we can alchemize and teach and support and love and, heal. Okay. Biggest step forward this week for our highest and greatest good. You guys are not, I'm just going to say it. I was laughing about it. I looked at it and I was like, oh no, seriously, that's what happened. All of these cards are swords aside from the Hierophant. So this is fascinating to me. Biggest steps for your highest and greatest good this week. Thank you, Brianna. I love that you're my ad bot. I would love no other ad bot than you. It's really it's a powerful time. It really, really is. And this week is asking us to go softly for the healing. It's a new moon. Don't push, don't manipulate, don't force anything. Everything really is happening the way it's supposed to. Feel it. Anchor into that feeling. Trust it. So biggest steps forward for your highest and greatest good. This is Two of Swords. Two of Swords is one of my most favorite cards. Okay. One, it's a full moon here. Okay. But it's got this Cheshire cat. So again, this who are you, spirit poking, triggering, who's the teacher here, universal teacher. Two of Swords is always a call to meditation. And I always say that she, very much like the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Swords, Two of Swords is a badass bitch. She doesn't need to take any more information in. Hi, question from Gemini season. As a human, we take in, again, I botch this every time. It's like upwards of 90% of our information in visually. When we take away our vision, on purpose in meditation, then our other senses heighten. We become more intuitive, more in tune, more capable of feeling things. She doesn't need to look at anything. She's got her swords. She's sitting and waiting. She will know the moment when to strike because it will feel right. So she's not letting her vision like hyper, oh God, what was that movement? I just, chopped the bench in half because she saw an animal move out of the corner of her eye. She's waiting for the true, real things, feeling safe and protected in the universe, and will know when to strike because she'll feel it. So this is definitely a call to intuition and to feeling things this week, of feeling what's right. And healing is all about feeling what's right. Because if we go by what people say is right and the right way to heal and the right way to do things, ain't none of the magic happening. We got to feel it in our own way, right? So the biggest steps forward for this highest and greatest good is anchoring more into meditation. Two of Swords often calls us to make a choice also. And so it's like, which direction are you going to go? I mean, literally in this one, she's got the road map, the roads up ahead. I don't know if I can read it. Oh, one of them is Mad Hatter and the other one is March Hare. I love it. Either way, everybody's going to think you're crazy. So it doesn't matter what you choose, right? Like one's crazier than the next. It's just a different name. So it's really about feeling your way through things, doing what feels right for you, because somebody's going to have a judgment about it no matter what. Oh my God, I love it. I've never read that. Dig it. Okay. It's also important because all of these cards are swords, is to understand that swords are about our intellect, our acumen, our thought process. But more powerfully and importantly, they are our subconscious programming system. So to double back to the first card, the theme of the week, our subconscious programming system is really healing. It is being rebooted, is what I hear. Like we're not going to be functioning from that place of deprivation, fear, and guilt anymore if we allow the healing to happen this week. It's very powerful. It is a Phoenix unicorn moment. Okay. Assets to the week. I love me some of this one too. 10 of Swords. Okay. 10 of Swords is basically bullshit's done. It's dead. Done, done, done. It's too many swords. Like this is Humpty Dumpty. Like he fell off and he smashed, and then to add insult to injury, we just threw about 10 swords in his back. Okay. But this is the asset. 10 of Swords denotes a being done with your own bullshit. All the ways you weigh yourself down, all of the self-deprecating self-talk, all of the weird ancestral familial wounds that we have taken on subconsciously, like we're done with it. We as unicorns are empowered and we go, I can take note of it. I may not want to deal with it today, but I know it's there and I'm coming back for it. Like I'm going to heal when the time is right. And I feel like I can, undertake it. But in the meantime, I'm going to do all the practical pieces. Because once Humpty Dumpty's off that wall and all those swords have been thrown, what you got to do? Clean it up. Can't stay there forever. You cannot stay there forever. So like the bullshit of the self-deprecating, like being stabbed in the back, literally, Cynthia, I hope you're still here. Like done, it's done. 10 of Swords, as much as it is like this, like it often looks like a bloodbath, is fresh starts and new beginnings. So we're sitting on the precipice and this is the balance. So this is what's going on. Fresh starts and new beginnings in the way that we think, in the way that our frequency is set, and what manifests and magnetizes towards us. And in subconsciously, what's driving the bus when we're not thinking and actively talking. Yes, please. Outcome. Outcome of the week. 6 of Swords. It's beautiful. 6 of Swords says the universe is ushering you off of islands that no longer serve your highest and greatest good. That there is a universal usually angelic hand in things and moving things along. So often in the Six of Swords card, most of you guys are on YouTube, so I'm just going to hold it closer to here and then just show it on Instagram in case anybody watches later up there. Usually the second person in the boat is invisible. You know, it denotes angelic higher realms protecting you. So this is really the card, I think, that is like where no, when you get a no, it's like something I really wanted and you get a no, that's the universe protecting you. It's not for you. This is not the right time. This is not where you're really supposed to be, right? And so this is the outcome of the week. It's always positive. 6 is the number of love, okay? So it shows that because the healing is happening and happened, and we're really done with our own bullshit that anchors us down. We're taking self-responsibility for it. We're healing it. We're mending it. We're working with it when and where we can in ways that we feel balanced and capable of doing, that the universe moves us out of places that aren't for us anymore. And this is usually to greener surroundings. So often it's moving off of an island that no longer produces, right? You can't grow anything. All the crops are dead. The weather patterns are terrible and everybody's moved off it. So there's nobody there. It's moving out of that island onto another one where there's prosperity and where there's abundance. And remember, abundance is all of our resources, time, money, and energy. So the outcome of the week is moving into better resources. But you're being protected and ushered, and there's a hand of the divine on it. You're not alone. So you just got to trust. Where's this boat going? Don't totally know. Sounds fun, though. Let's go there. Okay? Spirit in which to move through things. It's a new moon week. It's intuition. Okay? So, hello, Two of Swords. I love when things are doubled up, right? When we get confirmation within the same reading. It's like, no, I already told you. I already told you what the biggest step for your highest and greatest good this week is going to be. Moving from intuition, what feels right at your gut. You know, to me, that's what intuition is. But I'm highly clairsentient. I feel everything. So that's like easier. It didn't used to be easier. But that the spirit in which to move through things is in your intuition. When things feel confusing, when you feel lost, when you feel blocked, because there are other things at play here that you can't see. You have to trust and you have to go with your intuition. I have to make a choice between this and that. All of the facts are sending me one way, but I don't feel that way about it. How are you supposed to make the decision based on what you feel? Higher powers, trust, and surrender. Sit in meditation before you make those decisions this week. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really, oh, wait. Totally. Oh, my God. Valerie, it's totally an ego way. Totally. And Ten of Swords, it looks really gruesome in a lot of decks. This one's kind of friendly. You know, it was like he was going to break anyhow. He was sitting up on a wall. It was kind of asking for it. You know what I mean? Like, he was delicate. Really? His dumbass went up there? He knew the risks. Pardon my meanness to Humpty Dumpty. Okay, here we go. So we got 2 cards out of the Divine Feminine Oracle deck. So I will read them. They were super stuck together. And I have not pulled these 2 cards yet. Rita of Cassia, the patroness of impossible causes. I like her already. I am miraculous. My prayers create powerful channels of possibility. Yes. Okay. So remember that these cards, these are who to maybe send a little prayer to this week, maybe a little offering, ask for help, ask for protection, ask for guidance. And the other card is Marguerite Porret, the mystic of divine love. Love is divine, and I am nothing except love. Yeah. Can you see on Instagram? I'm going to throw that up there. Okay, so let me read the booklet. These are a little long, so hang in there. Okay, Rita of Cassia. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. I'm not familiar with either of these, so I'm excited to read. And they were like, I can't tell you how stuck they were. I was like, is that 2 cards? What is that? So they both needed to be seen today. All right, here we go. Saint Rita of Cassia's life demonstrates the power of prayer to shift even what appears to be an impossible cause. She was born Margherita Lotti in 1381 in Italy to noble parents. She is associated with bees because as a child, it is said that they swarmed her but never stung her. And bees are symbolic of Mary and the diligent work that must be done to gather honey, or the immortal sweetness of Christ's love. Although Rita wanted to enter a convent, she was forced to marry Paolo Mancini and had her first child at age 12. Her husband was a wealthy nobleman who had many enemies in Cassia. Rita endured abuse and infidelities, but through prayer and kindness, she converted him to Catholicism. He then renounced the family feud known as La Vendetta. Even though Paolo had become a new man, a member of the feuding family murdered him for his previous acts. Rita's two sons wanted to avenge their father's death, but before they could, both died of dysentery. After the death of her husband and sons, Rita wanted to enter the monastery of St. Mary Magdalene in Cassia. She was given the condition that her family had to reconcile with the family that had killed her husband before she could gain entrance. Rita prayed to her patron saints John the Baptist, Augustine of Hippo, and Nicholas of Tolentino to assist her in creating peace between the two rival families. The bubonic plague was ravaging Italy at that time and happened to take several members of both families. This was enough hardship that they agreed to relinquish the feud. I don't mean to laugh. This one's kind of epic. Rita entered the St. Mary Magdalene Monastery at the age of 36. Catholic legend says that she was transported into the monastery by her three patron saints via levitation. And the legend also relates that while she was meditating on Christ at age 60, a ray of light pierced her between the eyes. The stigmata remained there until her death of tuberculosis in the monastery in 1457. Okay, when our souls select her card. Despite popular belief, St. Rita isn't about suffering or martyrdom, not in this context. Here, she is about the miracles that happen when we choose to be steadfast about something or someone. This does not mean remaining in a situation that is harmful to us. It means knowing that we can believe anything is possible and that everyone is ultimately forgivable. Because forgiveness isn't about someone else, it's about freeing ourselves. We might have to draw fierce boundaries and possibly never see this person again. Hello, boundaries, Leo boundaries. Can we all hear that? But we can pray from any distance that a light larger than our own transform them, that a love that's greater than what we alone can hold and have for them might offer them a new life. St. Rita is asking us foremost to never give up on what we want for ourselves, and she's suggesting that the path to what we desire is in our belief that it is still possible. I think I said something about that at the beginning of the reading. We might not know how or when things will align for us, but we can participate in a deep prayer, a bone trust that at some point what we most desire will arrive. Soul voice meditation. What do I believe is possible for my life? Intention. I am miraculous. My prayers create powerful channels of possibility. I like that. Okay. So, Rita of Cassia. She is one of our divine females this week. Okay. Now into the next. Marguerite Porret. All right. Let's see. Let's see who she is. Okay. Okay. Marguerite Porret is the essence of divine love and the truth that all we are is love. Marguerite was a French Beguine born, Beguine, not one I'm familiar with. Somebody out there will know how to pronounce it, in the mid-13th century. The Beguine movement was a spiritual revival among women in the late Middle Ages that emphasized an imitation of Christ's life. These Beguines, or holy women, lived together in semi-monastic communities. They were not nuns, they didn't take formal vows, and they would leave at any point. But they lived with shared spiritual intention. They were unicorns. Marguerite wrote a spiritual masterpiece titled The Mirror of Simple Souls. It reveals the spiritual process she went through to be transformed by divine love. I am God, says love, for love is God, and God is love, and this soul is God by the condition of love. By 1306, the Bishop of Cambrai deemed her work heretical and condemned it to be burned in Poret's presence. Even so, it continued to circulate widely through the Middle Ages, and in some ecclesiastical centers, it was embraced as the most canonical piece of theology. Poret was ordered to stop circulating her book and to recant her ideas of God as love, but she refused. Marguerite was arrested as a relapsed heretic and a free spirit, which included the belief that humans could achieve union with the divine. The Catholic Church conducted an unprecedented trial to decide her fate. Like Joan of Arc, much of her life is recorded because of the transcripts of her lengthy trial. She maintained her truth that the soul has no other will but God's, and that when the soul is united with God's love, the state of union causes the soul to transcend the contradictions of the world. She suggested that we can be transformed by divine love into love itself, which isn't separate from God, and that ultimately no outside source is needed in this transformation. It's between the soul and God alone. Marguerite was burned at the stake in 1310. The Mirror of Simple Souls continued to gain in popularity, but was distributed as an anonymous text until 1946, when Romana Guarnieri identified Latin manuscripts of the Mirror in the Vatican. Marguerite's name returned to the text when it was published for the first time in 1965. What? Okay, there's nothing more powerful than remembering that we are love, and there's nothing and no one outside of us that is needed in order to realize this. It's between our experience of the divine and our own soul. We can let go of what we think we need to prove or who we think we need to be in order to receive love, because we remember that we are love. Then we can stand in that truth, even through flames. Marguerite is a courageous truth teller, and the truth of her experience is that love alone can free us. Not the love another might give us, not the love of family or of friends. All of this is powerful and significant. But the true source of love for us is in the fact that we are a soul, and that the soul is in union with the divine. She reminds us, when we've forgotten, that love is the essence of who we are, and that true love is found within. Marguerite says, "Love has no beginning, no end, and no limit, and I am nothing except love." This is a time to own and to know the truth more fully. It is the most profound and radical act that we can ever take, knowing that love we already are. Soul voice meditation. How can I feel the love that I am more deeply? Intention. Love is divine, and I am nothing except love. Okay, y'all. I don't know about you, but that makes me want to cry, and it just screams the ultimate fruition of Leo energy. Leo is the biggest heart of the zodiac, and our heart and our soul, again, we go back to the 9th house of the zodiac, right? That how do we connect with spirit? It's how we connect to ourselves, because we are not separate. So everything we do in order to be our fullest expression of soul in this lifetime is coming back to this, as remembering who we are, remembering the source, because we're a soul, we're not a body. We have skin and a body, and we need to take care of it. So the whole idea of we are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And I teach physical and energetic and emotional work, right? Because although we know we're so much more than a body, the soul in this lifetime doesn't really know the difference between its body and itself, because this is heaven on earth. This is home. So when we practice techniques that take care of the physical vessel, heaven on earth, we are taking care of the soul. But Leo is the biggest heart, and it says, I am regal, I am royal, because I remember who I am and where I come from. I'm a child of God. I'm divine. I'm stardust. So do what you want with that, right? It's really beautiful. Okay. Well, I just think we can close right there, because that's beautiful, and it's 12:40. It takes a while to get through these cards, I know, but we did get through Unicorn Bingo today for your new moon ritual, and I love you so very much. If you all need a card reading done, and you feel like there's like I really need some guidance and support on this, email me. I feel like I have 3 hidden pockets where I can offer those up if you all need support and clarity in the coming 4 weeks. I don't like to leave you all, right? Um, so I love you all so much. I think those 2 cards are so magical. So magical. It's a beautiful week. Take care of yourself. Meditate. A little extra meditation. Make sure to press play on the site to do your moving meditation or constructive rest week and anchor into your stretches. Okay? Yeah, they're amazing, right? I'm like, ooh, need to go order that or go reserve it at the library somewhere so I can read Marguerite Porret's stuff. I mean, really fascinating. Fascinating. We women, we've been doing it for generations. Still doing it now, right? All right. I love you guys. Thank you. And I will see you next Monday, okay, for our weekly reading. And if you are not currently a member of UnicornWellness.Studio, you can use the code MOREMAGIC for 3 more days to get 30 days free on the site plus a free magic circle, $57 worth of value for free. Okay, so if you have any questions about membership and how that works and all of that, just message me, comment. I'm always here. I love you guys. I love you. Thank you for so many of you showing up today and spending time with me and spending time with each other, because this really is the coven, right? On Mondays, we feed each other's energy here, right? We're here to support each other, and by showing up together, that's powerful energy. It's good. So thank you. I love you all very much. I will see you next time.